It's no secret that Joe Biden had his worst ever public performance during the presidential debate last week. But what has happened in the days since is even more concerning. Joe Biden's cognitive decline is speeding up by the day. The severity of his gaffes are getting worse and they're happening more than ever. The media is no longer protecting the president, but despite this, Joe Biden and his family stand defiant. Sky News All-Stars Paul Murray, Andrew Bolt and Danica Georgio take a look at Joe Biden's bizarre behaviour. Joe Biden's cognitive decline is worse than it's ever been. His mental lapses are frequent, his physical body resembles a corpse, and those close to him are very worried, according to Sky News All-Star Peter Stefanovic.
Sources close to Joe Biden say the US president's lapses are becoming more frequent. The 81-year-old president has been described as appearing increasingly confused and losing the threads of conversations. According to one individual, Mr. Biden would take afternoon naps and would not begin preparations for his recent debate with Donald Trump before 11 o'clock in the morning. Other voices claim President Biden remains sharp and focused.
Author Carl Bernstein agrees. Speaking on CNN, he said sources close to the president have been concerned about his failing cognition for over a year.
These are people, several of them, who are very close to President Biden, who love him, have supported him, have been among them are some people who have raised a lot of money for him. And they are adamant that what we saw the other night, the Joe Biden we saw, is not a one-off, that there have been 15, 20 occasions in the last year and a half when the president has appeared somewhat as he did in that horror show that we witnessed.
In his first big public appearance since the train wreck debate, Joe Biden did nothing to allay fears that he's essentially a walking corpse. During his press conference about the Supreme Court's immunity ruling, he shuffled out to the podium, delivered a short speech and then turned his back on the audience, refusing to take questions, explains Sky News host Andrew Bolt and former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer.
Now, here's the thing, Sean. Joe Biden, after that press conference on Thursday, desperately needed to prove that he could string a few words together, that he wasn't reading off an auto cue. Here's a big issue, Supreme Court ruling, threat to democracy, he says. You'd think it'd take a few questions afterwards. Not a bit. They wouldn't trust him to do even that. He just shuffled off, not taking questions and not trusting himself to be unscripted. What did you make of all that?
Well, a couple things. Number one, he needed to give the media something new to talk about that could shift. And it was like clockwork tonight. The second he left the lectern there, the podium, they all said, oh, that was the Biden we knew. He's back. He just needed to give them a new talking point. They were desperate. The New York Times and CNN needed something to say to pivot away from that disastrous performance last Thursday.
Sky News All-Star Mick Mulvaney agrees, saying he expected Joe Biden to take questions in an attempt to prove himself.
But it's not at all what I expected, to be honest with you. And I don't know what Annalise heard before the speech began, but I was under the impression he would be taking questions afterwards, that this was part and parcel, not only to try and change the narrative on substance off of the debate and on to the Supreme Court decision, but also to sort of defray some of the concern about his performance in the debate, to sort of show that he was able to stand and take questions for half an hour or so or something. To turn around and to walk back into the Oval Office like he just did is the type of thing that makes me wonder, have they given up? Are they actually trying to save his place at the top of the ticket? Or are they now just fighting a battle, Democrat versus Republican, regardless of who the Democrat turns up to being? It's a very stunning turn of events in just the last 10 minutes as far as I'm concerned.
And with the Biden camp in desperation mode, they took the bizarre step of seemingly fake tanning the president before his appearance to make him look more alive, says Sky News All-Star Danica Georgio.
Christy, I've got to say, the president looking quite tanned compared to his corpse appearance on Friday. Now, suddenly he's looking like he's been out having a spray tan at the beauty salon to try and prop him up a little bit. But look, what will this decision mean for the US election, do you think?
Yeah, he certainly had a glow up out there in the Hamptons. Maybe Hollywood has got to him again, Danica and Caleb, and taught him their tricks. And the other thing I've noticed about that press conference too, which you can see it's done in the White House, did you hear the echo on those microphones? They turned the volume up to the full volume so people could hear him, because it was very evident on Friday he mumbles, the sentences aren't correctly enunciated, and people couldn't hear what he was saying even if they wanted to, and it turns out even if they did, it didn't matter. So there's a lot of tricks seeping in here, not just the glow up, the volume of the microphone.
Sky News All-Star Paul Murray agreed, mocking the change in makeup for the president.
One of the reasons why the family apparently think it all went wrong was because, and I quote, that CNN and their makeup staff had made him appear too pale. And this was 3 different people who said that the family believes the reason he had a terrible debate, flub was the word, by the way, I was looking for, just in case, was because apparently, according to the footage, he was not sick and old, not doddery and losing it. He just had got the makeup that made him look too pale. Do we have that footage? Roll it for us if we can. Where he apparently was, again, looking too pale during the debate. Well, I noticed something today in Biden's response to the court case in and around presidential power. See if you notice a slight difference and perhaps a new makeup artist for the President of the United States. Because he was kind of orange today. Did you not notice? He went from white to orange. Is he trying to trick the voters of America that he's Donald Trump? That it's not a battle of 2 kind of older guys, it's a battle of 2 orange guys, and you should vote for that orange guy, not this orange guy.
And in another strange show of dependency, Joe Biden was escorted down the steps of Air Force One by his wife, Jill Biden. Comes after she had to take his hand and very slowly help him down the very small steps at the CNN studio following the debate.
Joe Biden's age, of course, was already a talking point before the debate. It was amplified as well, not just in a cognitive sense. Plenty of discussion online about this footage of the First Lady, Jill Biden, helping her 81-year-old husband off stage. You can see pretty small steps there, but having to be helped off. He clearly needed assistance to descend those steps to greet the 2 CNN moderators after that. So I'm sure that'll be images played as well.
And the bizarre behaviour keeps coming. Just today, the president was filmed caressing the arm of a voter. And after that, he had another brain malfunction during a speech about extreme heat.
So folks know these resources are available to them and anyone who needs them. I was telling the group who briefed me earlier, my brother has an expression, you got to know how to know.
And even after all of this strange behaviour and calls for him to step down, Joe Biden remains defiant.
Mate, Joe. And Joe ain't going to go. And despite the fact that Joe should go, Joe's family, because it's kind of the family business, are desperately going to try to hold him up.
It's no secret that Jill Biden is the brains behind the operation to keep Biden in the running. But surprisingly, it's now being said that convicted felon Hunter Biden has been sitting in on meetings with his father.
Sources familiar with the situation at the White House that Hunter Biden has been by his father's side ever since they were at Camp David this weekend as a family, where they had some discussions about the president's potential path forward here and his re-election campaign, and that since he returned from Camp David last evening with his father, we understand that Hunter Biden has even joined some meetings and conversations that have taken place between the president and some of his most senior advisors and senior staff. And while we should note that it's not unusual for Hunter Biden to be at the White House, to be in the residence, to be attending certain White House events, which we